Hey there folks, Mr. Matthew Larson here. Let's talk about some of the more non-traditional forms of media that are starting to influence our world today and playing a large role. The first one you can see up on the screen, talked about before, major influence in the world today is the role of social media. Now, social media is significant because it's changing the media landscape. It's allowing for people to access news in a way that was not always prevalent. It's kind of this idea of the democratization of the media, so more people can present information, more people can have access to information. While this could be beneficial, there's also a problem being presented here, which is the information that's being presented is not always credible. Now, social media companies have attempted to rein this in by using things called fact checks. Those have been attacked, as well as promoting information that's biased. Again, try not to use the word bias because everything is biased, everything has slant, but they've kind of been attacked, and now we're seeing something where social media companies are starting to remove their fact checkers. I know Meta just announced that early 2025. Twitter, under the leadership of Elon Musk, has done similar things. So it's important to understand that information presented on social media might not always be credible, and opinions are frequently presented as fact. Now, does that mean we can't take any information we learn on social media for and use it? No, of course not. There is certainly good information on there, but it's very important that we as consumers of news, consumers of information, look at the information from multiple standpoints, looking at the credibility of the source, evaluating the source, and really being weary of opinions being presented as fact. The idea of democratization of the media, I talked about a little bit already. This is where you have a diversity of opinion, get easier access to information, and you're going to reduce the media monopoly. So the example I talk about right here is Sinclair Media, the media organization that controls and owns a large number of local news stations within the United States. Again, people are more trusting of local sources compared to international sources or national sources. So you have Sinclair. There's a video you can find online where you're looking at the same script being read on news stations across the country that look like independent media from local sources when they're actually coming from a larger outsized source. So it's important to understand this present right through here. In terms of that media monopoly, democratization tries to bring this down and make it more equal, so to speak. Social media does have a role in that as well. The diversity of opinion can be important in terms of looking at multiple perspectives. However, it's very important to understand that just because someone has a different opinion doesn't mean that opinion is necessarily credible. It's different between presenting both sides of an argument and presenting the facts. While it's good to look at both sides, simply presenting two things as equal, and one is not based in fact and one is problematic. So again, be very wary and look at slant and make sure the sources that you're looking at information are credible. Continuing forward, technology is going to be playing a major role in the media, as we've already kind of discussed previously. More access to technology leaves people feeling more informed. Right now, across the world, individuals feel that they are more informed of the news and what's going on now than they really have ever in history. Now, problem with that is more access to technology means it's easier to manipulate opinion. The example here is the Great Firewall of China. So China has their Great Firewall where they have blocked and control access to a number of media sources within the country. So it's important to understand that although people do feel more informed today, simply feeling more informed and actually being more informed are two completely different things. So there's a lot of stuff to look at here. Be very wary when we're looking at sources and information and looking at whether or not something is actually factual, or are we simply feeling like something is factual. Again, it's easy to manipulate technology, particularly with the use of AI and deepfakes. Information that is coming out might not actually be true, even if it looks true. So using those kind of critical thinking skills, using those ATL skills of looking for information, determining whether or not what we're feeling, what we're reading, what we're seeing is actually accurate, because again, it's very easy to manipulate opinions using technology. Authoritarian states particularly do a good job of this because controlling information is the key to stability. Again, The number one goal of any regime, any state, anything at all is to maintain stability. So governments are going to do whatever they can to maintain stability. Authoritarian states are going to take that even further. And maintaining the control of information is crucial. Journalists can and frequently do challenge the status quo. Now, in a state that has freedom of speech, this is not quite so problematic. A state that does not have freedom of speech, well, this is going to likely end up getting those journalists killed. And states that are transitioning from a more democratic system to a more authoritarian system, there will be attacks on journalists. A great example of this is Jamal Khashoggi, former Saudi journalist who was killed in the consulate in Istanbul when he went in for a marriage license. The allegations and the evidence supports this being a hit from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and his people, so to speak. Khashoggi historically worked with the Saudi royal family and was very close to the Saudi royal family, ended up having a change of opinion and then became a large critic of the royal family. He was a resident of the United States, was in Turkey getting a marriage visa, going to get married to his wife, or his fiance. He never left the embassy. We know images of him leaving the embassy. He did leave the embassy cut up into bags. So kind of disturbing information right here. But he was a journalist who was targeted by an authoritarian regime because they did not like what he was saying about them. You have similar issues in Russia today with Vladimir Putin controlling large stations and large media sources. You've had issues in Singapore. So this is certainly something that happens around the world. You're seeing calls in the United States for the revoking of certain stations' license to operate. So do understand that authoritarian states' media is going to be controlled. Now, we keep going and we talk about open source intelligence. Now, open source intelligence is investigative journalism and it's done from home. This is going to be done using satellite images, social media, and other information that's just available to try to determine what's going on. A good example of this is Bellingcat, an organization formed in the United Kingdom by a British journalist. This organization looked at different satellite images that are published recently online, looked at different pictures from social media that people on the ground have posted, government sources, all these different things. It can come to some pretty good conclusions as a result of that. They implicated the Russians in the crash of Malaysian Airlines Flight 17. This was a flight that was flying over eastern Ukraine back, I believe, in 2014 and was shot down. The allegations at the time, no one really knew where it was getting shot down. Bellingcat found evidence to show that it was the Russians who more than likely fired that missile that took down that civilian airliner. They also connected the al-Assad regime to chemical attacks in Syria. Two bits of information that are very influential and very important, but would not have happened if it were not for open source intelligence. Outside of the categories, we got some other different things fitting in here. So we got some leaders that really just don't fall either way, like Malala Yousafzai, the young woman from Pakistan who was shot by the Taliban for speaking out about women's rights to education. Greta Thunberg, the woman talking about environmental issues. These two are playing a large role in controlling the media narrative, controlling what is being said, what is being heard in the information, but they don't really fit into any individual category, yet they're incredibly influential. We've also got the Norwegian Nobel Committee. The man who invented dynamite felt bad about all the crap that happened as a result of that, so turned around an organization for peace and advancements in a positive nature. They play a large role in this as well, talking about who wins a Nobel Peace Prize. Individuals that you could argue were very, very well deserving, and other individuals that might just have been getting it because they wanted to kind of send a message. But this is a significant thing as well, the Nobel Committee. And then also we have the idea of the ombudsman. This is an individual who's going to investigate potential abuses of power by the state. So this is an outside source. They're not really directly connected to either like kind of political leaning within the country, and they're going to be there to make sure that the state is not abusing their power, make sure that the parliament is being transparent in terms of finances, where the money is going, and they have to be basically completely independent of everything else. Now, this varies in how they're appointed country by country. Colombia directly appoints the ombudsman by the president, which leads to some kind of, are they actually independent or not? Bolivia does it completely differently, where it's an outside source that picks it. But this is kind of like a watchdog, making sure the government is following the rules. And lastly, we have the idea of a whistleblower. Now, a whistleblower is someone within an organization who alerts individuals that what's going on is problematic. There is a law being broken, something unethical is happening, and they want this stopped. So they will come out and state this is what's going on. Now, they file whistleblower protection, which means the government cannot retaliate against them for what's going on. And that now the organization within the government addresses the issue and makes sure the problem's not happening. Now, you can go around whistleblowing and just bring the information out. However, if you do that, you are putting yourself in some legal jeopardy right through there. Really good example of a whistleblower following the rules would be the first impeachment of Donald Trump. Mr. Vindeman listened in on the phone call, heard the President of the United States basically what he viewed as telling a foreign leader that he needed to do him a favor, which he saw as a quid pro quo. He felt this was wrong. He filed whistleblower protection, filed this information. It led to an impeachment of a president of the United States. So whistleblowers do have a very important role. Individuals within an organization simply saying, hey, what's going on? This is wrong. We don't like this. This shouldn't be happening. And they do have a certain level of protection. How that protection goes is going to vary state by state. Authoritarian states, not going to really happen. This is going to be something more present in democratic states. Comments, questions, let me know. I'll see you later. Good luck.